Welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on HelixGPT Insight Finder. It's a configuration workshop and we're going to be focusing on Insight Finder today. You should have received a config guide. If you haven't, I will send it out again once the session has started, just so you've got that fresh in your inbox. Couple of reminders for those that have also joined webinars in the past. There is the Q&A section of Zoom, which you'll find at the bottom. If you have any questions during this workshop, please put them in there. We have a team that's going to be helping support Suren today, so do put those questions in there. You will remain muted until towards the end, where you can ask and answer questions live, but until that point you will be on mute, so do put your questions in the Q&A. We would encourage that. The other thing to remind you is I will be launching 2 polls today. They're really important questions for us to get to know a little bit more about you and where you are in your journey, and it will help you for the future. So the first one I will launch when I hand over to Suren. Please fill those in the background. They're very quick questions, and then there'll be one towards the end. So I think that's covered everything that I need to, Suren. I'm going to now hand over to you to take control, and I will speak towards the end. Over to you.
Thanks. Thank you, Sam. And guys, please respond to the survey which Sam has launched. So good day, everyone. I'm Suren. I am part of the Helix Adoption Advisory team here at BMC Helix. And today's purpose is I will be your dedicated guide through the configuration steps for Insight Finder. To ensure that we make best use of our time, let's quickly review the agenda and the structure of our sessions. So I just introduced myself. So what we will do next is first we will look at some of the prerequisites to ensure that your environment complies with all the technical requirements. Just give me a minute. Let me stop the video to get a better bandwidth. Yeah, I hope you can still see my screen good. So as I was saying that we will first review the prerequisites and then we will take an Insight Finder overview explaining its key capabilities. Following that, we will go through the configuration elements required to do this configuration. And then we will move actually into the configuration demo where I will walk you through every step for the configuration process. And once we have configured everything, we will test it by giving some of the prompts to the Insight Finder and see this dashboard creation in action. And then finally, we will have some dedicated Q&A session to address your remaining queries and so. So this roadmap will ensure that when you leave today, you have a fully operational understanding of the Insight Finder. So let's get started with this. As we just said, that let's understand some of the prerequisites for this. The first requirement is that your service management solution needs to be at least on 25.2 or higher version. Similarly, your HelixGPT Agent Studio needs to be on 25.3 or higher. And then the BMC Helix Platform Common Services, this includes BMC Helix Dashboard as well, should be on 25.3 or higher. So if your current versions are older than these minimums, a system update would be necessary before implementing this solution. Next, look at what roles and permissions you would need to configure Insight Finder. You would need an admin permission for both Innovation Suite and Helix Dashboard. All of our HelixGPT agents operates under bring your own LLM model, which is a large language model, meaning their power comes from the LLM that you provide or you subscribe to. Therefore, you will need a subscription to one of the following providers or LLM or GenAI providers to configure Insight Finder. You would either need Azure OpenAI 4.0 or 4.1, or you would need Google Vertex Gemini 2.0. What you would actually need from that is you would need an API endpoint URL and API key for the LLM of your choice. And finally, what we recommend also is to maximize the impact of the data we will be discussing. You can go through or you can attend a live webinar, or you can go through a recording of the webinar, which is from data to decisions, and elevate your Helix dashboard with Insight Finder. This webinar will provide you a valuable context on leveraging the agent capabilities within your organization. Now we have understood the prerequisites to configure the Insight Finder agent. Let's review the Insight Finder and let's take an overview of what is Insight Finder is. So the HelixGPT Insight Finder simplifies and accelerates your data process. It makes creating complex dashboard faster and significantly improves the quality of insights you gain from your data. It is really easy to use. There is no complex setup, no coding, and no need to involve a data experts team. You can just go to the Insight Finder and just ask questions, and it can be started using it in minutes. But how it works actually in the background. So Insight Finder is a React agent which stands for reasoning and action. And this simply means that this is a smart AI that combines clear thinking with immediate state, helping it make better and more accurate decisions. So Insight Finder first builds a contextual understanding by analyzing your prompts. Based on the reasoning, the agent takes action by invoking APIs or querying our DB. It then receives feedback from the environment to inform its next steps. And that's why you can just go to Insight Finder and ask questions like, show me all the incidents from last 3 months. Show me all the change requests which are there into the system. Show me all the problem investigations which are based on priority or so. And Insight Finder will automatically generate a dashboard from that input. Once the dashboard is generated, you still retain a full control. With that dashboard, you can change chart types. For example, from pie chart, you can move to bar chart. You can add filters. You can ask follow-up questions. So you can do all sort of things. So it's a fast, intuitive, and designed for everyone, and not just for analysts. Now that we looked at what is Insight Finder, let's understand what is the configuration process is. The foundational system components that we would be either creating or updating. The very first step is to set up connection to your chosen AI service provider. Although the models are predefined in the system through the out-of-the-box implementation, we must update the model configuration first to establish this critical connection. This will allow HelixGPT to successfully communicate with your chosen LLM. Once the initial connection is established, the rest of the configuration involves creating a few other core components that enable AI-driven dashboard generation and data interaction capabilities. So in the process, we would be creating two agents, and finally, we would be creating one skill. The main goal of creating and updating these components is to generate a unique skill ID. This new skill ID is the critical element that we will transfer to Helix dashboards for final configurations. Specifically, we will be replacing the existing out-of-the-box Insight Finder skill ID with this newly created ID to ensure that the Insight Finder agent is fully operational. Together, these components form a complete operational foundation for the Insight Finder framework. You can configure all these components through HelixGPT Agent Studio. And as we just seen, to gain access, you must have an Innovation Suite admin role, which is essential for making those necessary system level changes. Once you have these permissions, accessing the studio is simple. You just go launch your Helix portal, and from that you go to Helix Innovation Suite. And from there, we will go to HelixGPT Agent Studio. So this will bring you to the main interface where we will begin our configuration process. Now, let's understand in a bit what is the concept of CD. So starting with version 25.201, the Helix GPT Agent Studio comes with preloaded with default configuration values for Insight Finder. And this is what we refer to as seeded data. Now, seeded data represents the out-of-the-box records that are pre-populated during installation or an upgrade. The purpose of this data is to provide a working foundation offering default configurations, sample templates, and essential system values that the application needs and that you can build upon. So the critical best practice in this or in this Insight Finder or any of our Helix GPT agents is that seeded records are intended only as templates and must not be used directly in your final configuration. So what you will do is to protect your work, always create copies of the seeded records and use those custom copies for your configuration. What happens if you use the seeded records directly? You stand a risk of losing your unique configuration during the future Agent Studio upgrades and so. So now we looked at what the Insight Finder is, the concept of seeding itself. Now let's look at some of the access controls and skill ID which we would be transferring. So when we complete the entire configuration creation of foundation data elements, the first step is to ensure the Insight Finder feature is fully operational. We would be doing that by replacing the existing out-of-the-box Insight Finder skill ID with the newly created ID. You will perform that update by navigating to Helix dashboard. Then we will go to Helix GPT Insight Finder, refer to settings and change the ID there. The second step is crucial for adoption purpose. You must manage the access control within Helix dashboard to ensure your general user base can interact with this new functionality. By default, only administrator can access Helix GPT Insight Finder. To enable other users, you must set up permissions by going to Helix dashboard, administrations, then you can go to users and access and then roles. From there, you will grant the necessary permissions through the manage permissions screen. And there are two types of permissions for Helix Insight Finder users. One is access and second one is to create the dashboard. So we recommend here a tiered approach for these permissions. So for grant access permission, it should be allowed to all or most of the users. So this will allow the vast majority of your users to view and benefit from the dashboard generated by Insight Finder. Now the second permission, which is a grant create dashboard permission, should be given to a few power users. Those can be someone like a process owner, someone like service desk managers or so, support group leaders and so on. Those are the individuals who need an ability to initiate and generate new dashboards using Insight Finder. So this balanced approach ensures a wide adoption across your organization while still maintaining control over who can create and modify your core dashboards. Now you have now ability to create dashboards, but what if you have some custom forms, custom fields in your system? So that once we do our entire configuration, that is we configure model, agent, scales, and everything is scale is updated, your users would be ready to immediately leverage the power of Insight Finder. But it is important to know that right away your users can create powerful dashboard using Insight Finder against the standard out-of-the-box tables that are predefined in the system. For any custom data in your organization uses, the process requires some few additional steps. So that process needs to be performed by administrator. They must use the reporting metadata studio tool to bring in your custom tables, fields, which means custom forms and attributes to create the necessary custom views. Once those views are created, you would need to configure HelixGPT Insight Finder to recognize and utilize those custom views. In case if you have not used this reporting metadata studio and unsure how you would access it, let us know and we will set up an one-to-one session with you to help you do that. By following these steps, you ensure that Insight Finder is not limited to standard data, but it intelligently generates your dashboard from your organization unique custom data as well. So we saw about how we incorporate the custom forms as well. So finally, we will do some testing as well. So once we do the configuration, we will do something like we will go to dashboard, Insight Finder, and give some prompts like count of incidents, breakdown of change requests, list problem submitted. We will do all of this. Before we get into actual configuration steps, it's good to understand Insight Finder configuration process. Let me outline the workflow for that. To configure Insight Finder, BMC Helix follows a bottom-up approach. We start with the foundational components that handle data access before we define the final conversational experience. This design will ensure that when the agent receives a request, the necessary tools are already in place to deliver a seamless answer. It is important to note that the components marked in red or orange, whatever color you look at, is pre-configured out of the box. This allows us to significantly streamline the deployment process and focus solely on deploying the necessary workers that are indicated in blue and purple. Let's understand the configuration workflow. First, it is necessary to establish the technical connection to your ITSM data by selecting the ITSM Query Builder Toolkit type. Now, then we will create the Query Builder Toolkit instance, and this deployed toolkit is the live engine that holds your connection details and is the only component that directly queries your database. Once the data connection is secure, the next step is to define the role of AI workers. Here we are talking about the ITSM Query Builder agent type and the Insight Finder supervisory agent type. What we would be doing is that those types would be, or the agent types are the blueprints that dictate the specific functions and behaviors of the deployed agents. Once we have configured everything, then we will go ahead and, or as part of the configuration, we will deploy the specific AI workers. We simply need to create the deployed instances, that is ITSM Query Builder agent and Insight Finder Supervisory agent to as part of your configuration. These agents are the conversational interface and the data translator now ready to be assigned specific tasks. And finally, we create the Insight Finder supervisory agent skill. The skill is the routing logic that brings everything together. It is assigned to the supervisor agent and it tells agent when user questions requires a data query and how to delegate that task to the query builder agent and the toolkit. So by following this architecture order, we ensure the final conversational agent is fully equipped with all the necessary capabilities to fetch, analyze, and present your ITSM data. So let's go to next slide and understand. We just talk about it, but here are the components. What is the main idea? That is what it does and how it does. So that's where you would see that you would have see supervisory agent skill, supervisor agent, what is the main idea, what it does, the query builder agent, what it does and how it does, and so on. So this gives you some idea about the foundational element which we would be configuring in our configuration demo. So let's get to a configuration demo. So we just had the overview of the prerequisites and the foundational architecture. Now it's time for get us into the real action. But we understand that setting up the new tools requires precision. Therefore, we are moving into live hands-on demonstration, and I will show it step by step in my environment itself. During this live configuration demo, I will break down each step, guiding you through the screens and clearly specifying which values to insert for your models, agents, and skills. The goal here is, as we talked earlier, is that you follow along and execute the same steps in your own environment. And by end of this, you would have a Insight Finder agent configured and working as per your requirement. But before we start, I have two quick indications to make. A dedicated team of BMC expert, which involves R&D, product manager, and customer success agents or customer success advisor are part of this session. So, and they would be monitoring the Q&A panel to answer any specific questions you may have. And as we launch into the demo, please be aware that we would be working with multiple screens and browser tabs simultaneously. This is necessary because the configuration steps are interdependent. So I will recommend keeping all these browser tabs open as we proceed. However, if you accidentally close a window or lose your place, simply post your questions in the Q&A panel, and one of our dedicated advisor will help you to get back on the track. So with that, let's begin. So guys, I think you are at the Helix portal site as I am. So let's start with there. So first, we will go to Innovation Suite. Let's click here. In case if you are lagging behind or if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A box and our team would answer those. So let me go and click here. So now when you come here, you see that there is a workspace administration. You have all workspace is Innovation Studio. So in Innovation Studio, you have kind of a two ways to look at this. This workspace is for if you want to do a low level configurations. And then you would see at the right top of your screen, you would see small 9 squares. Those are there for your applications. So you would see the similar applications here as you would see into the workspace tab as well. So this one on the top right is for the high level configurations and the workspace here if you want to do any low level configurations. So first of all, we will go into the top right. Let's click on those 9 small squares and go to Helix GPT Agent Studio. You would get to this screen, which talk about HelixGPT Agent Studio. You have skills, agent tools at the top. Then you have applications. If you just click here, you would see your ITSM applications and ITOM applications as well. Then you have skills, which has underlying model prompts and everything. At the top right, you would also see a circle, which is talks about settings. So let's click that. Once you click that, you would come to the setting page, which would have Helix GPT. Let's expand this. And once you expand this, let's go to connections and select AI service providers. Here, you would see some predefined AI service provider mentioned here. Now, as we discussed earlier, you need to get your API end user key and the URL for the specific LLM which you have subscribed to. So maybe you would have an Azure or Google Vertex. So this is what the screen will look like. So let me select this Azure OpenAI, this one. And so I have tested it few more times. So that's why you would see. But I think if it is Azure OpenAI, you would see it, let's say 4.0 or 4.1. Your name would include just GPT 4.0 or 4.1. Let me rename this to, let's say, SK. GPT 4.0. Now remember that whatever you configured here, you can put your company name as well here. Whatever we are configuring here, we would be using across while creating agents, while defining the new custom skill, everywhere we would be using it. So be mindful what you put here. And once you put it here, now you would put the API endpoint URL and API key which you would have from your LLM subscription. Let me wait for maybe a couple of seconds here to put this API keys and endpoint URL. Once you have done that, now let's test the connection. Let me do test connection. Once you see the connection is successful, you can go ahead and save this. Let's make a note of it, whatever you have configured. I have configured it SKGPT 4.0. So it would be somewhere in the, yeah, here it is. So what we have done here is that we have set up we have established a connection between your Helix GPT and your LLM. Now we have completed the major step, which is this establishing that connection, and you should see that connection successful message. And then once you see that, let's move on to the next step, which is about creating an agent. The first agent which we will create, we will click on the agents here and click on add agent. Now we are creating ITSM query builder sub agent. So let's put name as I mentioned, let's use the same name as I would put SK and say ITSM query builder agent. And you would select the type as ITSM query builder agent. Here it is. Let me put the whatever value I have put it for name. Let me just put it as description as well. And you can scroll down and in tools, you again select ITSM query builder itself. You can scroll down a little bit more where you would provide the provider name. In my case, it is Azure OpenAI, and the custom model which we have defined. I have defined it as SKGPT 4.0, so I'm selecting that. Now let's save this. So now what we have done is that we have created first agent, which is ITSM Query Builder sub agent. Let's create the Insight Finder supervisory agent. So again, click on agent. Same process. Let's put the same nomenclature. We would put Insight Finder Supervisor Agent. Select type as Insight Finder Agent. Insight Finder Supervisor Agent. I will continue with the same thought process and put description as whatever I have in my name field. In tools, you would select Insight Finder. And now comes the most interesting or the important steps. Now, this is as we talked about, the Insight Finder is a supervisory agent. And now we have to provide a sub agent, which we have already created, which is the ITSM Query Builder agent. From this sub agents list, select the agent which you had already, ITSM Query Builder agent, which you had already created. So I have created this SK ITSM Query Builder agents. I'm gonna select that and save it. Okay, so we have done some work at the application side. Now we have to shift and go to the workspace. So that window would be still open with you. Go here. You would see all the things here. Now here as well. Now we need to do some of the low level configuration. So let's go here and search for HelixGPT Agent Studio. Here it is. Click on that. You would see all the tables here, which is like agent, agent type. If it is not arranged alphabetically, you can just click on name here and it will arrange it in a alphabetical section. So now select this agent and click on edit data. We are making, as I mentioned, we are making some low level changes where we have to do some configuration or changes into the one of the field or so. So as a first step, when you come here, identify the ITSM query builder agent which you have created. So for example, if I make search here, I would get hit here. So now just you would see two things, whatever the Insight Finder supervisor agent and the ITSM query builder agent as well. Just copy the name of this agent, ITSM query builder agent. It would be custom agent which you would use organization and name onto a notepad. Now, Sam, can you please copy that code and put it into the chat window for everyone to refer? So Sam would now put a code which reads like recursion limit is 25 and so.
Yeah, I'm just doing that now.
Yeah. Are you able to see it on my screen? I have opened a notepad. I think not here. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, it's in the Q&A. Sorry, not in the Q&A, in the chat. If you open up the chat to the side window.
Yeah. Now you would be able to see that, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing the, yeah. So now I have copied it here. And what we will do, Sam has already pasted a code which we need to use. So after this queue, you would have this code as ITSM query builder agent. Just replace it with the custom ITSM query builder agent which you have created. Make sure there are no additional spaces at the start, at the end of the double quotes. Now, when you have done this step, copy this, just keep it on the clipboard and select SK. In my case, I would select SK Insight Finder Supervisory Agent and click on Edit. So you would see, you would get agent type code as Insight Finder Supervisory Agent. Everything is there. The configuration field, which would be closing and opening and closing brackets, we would be replacing it with the code which we have created. Make sure you have two opening braces, and similarly you have two closing braces. Your name is exactly right. And once you have that, save this. Okay, we have now completed our work in the workspace stream of the light. Now we will create a skill, which is the last but one thing in the entire configuration. Now, let's go. You would be on this screen. We were working or we were creating an agent. So now let's go to skills. So you would in the application, click on the drop down and select BMC Helix dashboards. You may see some out of the box screen skills here. I have created few more, so that's why you see so many. Click on add skill and name it as we will still continue with the same nomenclature. I will put SK Insight Finder Supervisor skill. We would select the provider here. In my case, it is Azure OpenAI. We would select the right model, which we have created as a first step. In my case, it is HelixGPT 4.0. We would not select anything in the user context process definition. And in instruction type, we would select agent and click on add. You would get a message saying that skill created successfully. Let's look at that skill. Here it is. Select that skill. And you would now see model agent has been added here. So select that agent. Now, what we are doing now is that we are attaching our Insight Finder supervisory agent to this specific skill. This is one of the critical steps we need to follow. So now scroll down and identify where you have created your own custom Insight Finder agent. supervisory agent. So I have it here. You would see inside, I have SK Insight Finder supervisory agent. Select that and apply it. You would get a message saying that you have selected Insight Finder supervisory agent and it is applied to Insight Finder supervisor skill as well. Okay. Now, there is what we will need to do. If you remember in our deck, we talked about copying this custom skill and putting it into the Helix dashboard. So let's get the skill ID for it. Make sure that you have already selected the skill which you just created. Go to visible columns and select ID here. If necessary, expand this box to show the skill correctly and then copy it. You can keep it on the clipboard as well. Let me put it here. Now, once you have copied it, let's go to our portal page for one more time and go to Helix dashboard. Okay, we are here. Now, let's go to HelixGPT Insight Finder. You would have configure views and then go to settings. You would see some skill ID there. This is a default skill ID. Now we need to replace it with the custom skill ID which we have just created. So delete it and paste it here and save this. You would see this enable streaming, but we would recommend to not to use this for now unless you get onto 25.4. So let's just refresh it. Okay, it is right. Now let's go to, this is a time to test whatever we have done. So far what we have done is that we configure two agents. We configure, make some changes to one of the agent, which is the Insight Finder supervisory agent. Then we created a custom skill. We attach that custom skill to the custom agent, supervisory agent, which we have created and replace that skill with the out of the box skill into the Helix dashboard settings. So now let's start and see if we can get some dashboards here. So as we discussed, it just ask questions and it should show you dashboard, show incident breakdown by status, let's say. I made a mistake here, breakdown. Okay, it has given us the dashboard. So if you see, you just asked a question here in a natural language and Insight Finder has created a dashboard for you. So Insight Finder is basically for I would say the process owners, the other guys, non-technical guys as well, or even the technical guys as well, come here, ask their question in natural language form and build a dashboard from it. Let's get something else. Let's not just limit ourselves to incident management. Let's say show count of changes in my system. Just a small prompt. Yep, it has given me the total change records count as 76. Couple of things to note here that now you have built this dashboard. You can always save this by doing it, going here and saving it as dashboards. Once you save this dashboard, all the other dashboards functionalities like sharing it with other individuals, scheduling it would be open to you. So Insight Finder focuses on creating dashboards, building up dashboard by using natural language process and where you don't need any technical knowledge or any other coding requirement. Let's create one more final dashboard and then we will get into question and answer. So maybe show problem investigation by priority. Yeah, it has shown me those as well. So now we understand that we have configured the Insight Finder agent by following very few and very simple steps. And now we see that in actions as well. I hope most of you as well are with me and have configured their Insight Finder in.
Okay, so quick reminders. I know it's very unlikely on this call today that we're going to have someone from the American team, but we do have our New York roadshow. So if you have got colleagues out in the US, it might be likely they've gone to our in-person event. So whilst it's great that we can talk to you digitally, it means we can get this content out a lot quicker. We are running roadshows for the final one, which will be in November the 25th, which is in Mexico. So some of you may have been privileged or able to get to some of those sessions live. This is also where some of the customer success team we're talking to today, they're also attending in person. We've got product managers like Nikhil. Nikhil was also at the one in Mumbai. So if you do have the opportunity to go to any of these, the customer success stand will be available, and you'll also be able to meet a lot of people in person. So we've got a few more coming up. Just make note of these dates. I will send out the link if you want to sign up to some of the events. Otherwise, we will be doing webinars now right up until probably mid-December, and then we will start again next year. So some of the workshops that you're attending, there are Service Collaborator workshops. We've also got Service Curator. We've got these Insight Finder, and a bit of a plug. Nikhil and I are running a session with his team 8th of December, which is what's new in Helix dashboards, and I'll get him to just tell you what he's going to be covering in that session shortly. So if you do want to see the latest and greatest of 25.4, please sign up for that session. It hasn't gone live yet, but it will over the next week or so. So if there is content that you need help with or questions, do put them into the survey that will get sent out post-event today. Put your questions in for the team, certainly around Insight Finder. The main goal is to get you to a point where you've deployed your agents and you're able to start using a lot of our agents that we're running at the moment. So do use this as an opportunity to reach out. Next slide, Sarah.
Just a comment, Sam.
Yeah, go for it.
Your voice is little distorted. I don't know
Oh,
if it is just for me. Now it seems to be better actually.
I've not even moved. Maybe it's because it's quite early in the UK. It's telling me not to get up. Good. So, okay, so just another reminder, we work very closely with Gartner. So a lot of the time when I'm trying to ask product managers, do you want to do a webinar? I'm working on Gartner or Forrester. We do ask if you've got any surveys that you want to fill in regarding our software. Feel free to put in the survey. If it does get shared and it's fortunate to be published, Gartner directly will give you a gift card. You can do it up to 3 different surveys. So there's always something that we're running in Gartner. Don't worry about taking the links right now, but if you do have a phone handy, there is also a QR code here. We love to get our customer feedback. So that's just another one to ask. And then the final slide before we go and open up to live Q&A. Just in summary, as I mentioned, there is quite a few of these workshops we're doing. We're doing global time zones, or as best we can do to cover. We haven't got languages in place at the moment, but one of the questions that's come through the second poll, if there are language capabilities or something else that you need, please just spend a few minutes now just to fill in that second poll I've sent out. I do share the poll feedback with the customer success team, which is quite large, for us to follow up and improve for our next workshops and next sessions. And you'll see at the bottom those workshop calendars and the workshop groups. If you click on those community links when we share the slides out, that will take you to the full calendar that we're running up to the end of January. It's very likely we'll start looking at other agents, and there may be some of the sessions that we will repeat. Or for example, we do have an Ask the Expert session that's being run tomorrow on Insight Finder, and there'll be another one for the APAC region in a couple of weeks. Those ones are really helpful if you've got additional questions following these sessions that we're doing, these workshops around configuring come with your questions. We have Nikhil and his team that will also be joining the customer success team to answer those questions as well. And all of that information can be found on those 2 links at the bottom. So I think that's probably all I want to cover, Suren, and I think we'll go to the Q&A. Your team has been super
Yes.
busy. I can see Shripal is actually answering the first question. Someone's asking Gaurav around toolkit type. So I don't know, Shripal, sorry to pick on you first. If you want to just talk that through live, because it helps all our other customers on here. And then I will start unmuting everyone. So if you do want to speak to us as a customer, feel brave, come off mute, or we will answer your questions.
So toolkit type is just a configuration item which is required for toolkit to work, right? So ITSM query builder agent needs a toolkit which does basically internally does a query to ITSM to validate the query which we build through ITSM query builder, right? So it's just a configuration item which is required for your toolkit to work, which is being used by ITSM query builder agent. Hope that answers.
Great.
So,
Gaurav, hello. I did unmute you.
hi,
Can
hello
you hear us?
everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, it was a great session and quite insightful related to the configuration. I would like to check this toolkit type is something which is already pre-built, right? We don't need to anyways touch this specific
Yeah, you
thing
can reuse the
during the
one which is
configuration.
already available out of the box, Gaurav.
Okay, and the second. We discussed about the seeding data, creating the duplicate templates, right? So where exactly it would come in then?
Mostly, as I think Suren's walked through, mostly we recommend uh, creating duplicate records for seeding for agents, skills, and the model as well, right? So
Mm.
the reason being these records are likely to change, and if you use the seeded records, then during the next upgrade they will be overwritten uh, with the new
Uh,
configuration, right? So
okay,
that's
so
the reason we
seeded
recommend creating
records.
the copied. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
seeded records, you mean that the records which are already there while creating the agents, right? Where we
Right.
have just click and create a new one,
Right.
Yes. So
right? So the
Gaurav, as part of the
yeah.
process, we created copies for ITSM Query Builder agent and the Insight Finder Supervisory agent. That was the reason we created copies of those.
Okay, noted. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for your question. Priyanka, do you want to take the next question from Ivajat?
Yeah. So hi. So for employee navigator, that is the another agent by HelixGPT, which is used on the DWP console by end users to create request or to search any queries or to check the status of existing request.
Hi. The question I want to understand is that if I want to, like, if ITSM in the query builder is for sourcing the data from ITSM, would I need to add agents for different source? Like, if I want the digital workplace one, maybe I'll need to add an agent for digital workplace. Similarly, I see there are many agents available, like for Microsoft Teams, React agent, or so. A list of agent is available in the out of the box
I,
one in my box.
I can answer that.
Mm.
Thanks for that clarification, Abhijat. The ITSM Query Builder agent covers everything in service management, including digital workplace, business workflows, any custom applications. All of that is covered by the ITSM Query Builder agent.
Okay. Thanks.
There is a question on language.
Yes,
Sam.
languages. Go ahead, Sripal, if you want to respond to that.
Yeah, so with 25.4 release, we've started supporting Spanish, German, and French along with the English for Insight Finder, and other languages are coming up in the following releases.
Hmm.
Hey, Gaurav, I can see you've got your hand up again. Do you want to come off mute?
Yeah, I have another query. We created this specific agent for the supervisor who can create the dashboards, right? So once the dashboard is saved, how the end user, basically we were talking about that these Insight Finder is for end users, right? So so where exactly that comes into the picture, or how exactly it fits in?
Insight
So
Finder is a tool for agents. It's a tool
Okay,
for service desk agents, line of business, case management agents. The end user persona does not have access to Helix dashboards. It's a prerequisite that the users must be able to access Helix dashboards, and that's access to dashboards is an entitlement only for your agents.
okay. Okay, and one more part, we were also seeing some allowing the users, right, to access the agents and all, right? So those permissions, basically, how exactly we can provide those? Uh, there was a
Yeah,
slide related to it.
yeah.
So you're
So there
talking
Maybe
is.
about Gaurav about
access and grant
access
permission.
roles and right? So
Yes.
once you have those users, you can go into Helix dashboard. There is, as an administrator, you can go there, and then you can provide those access. Like you have those like administrator, editor, and the viewer kind of roles. You can add users to them based on your requirement. Nikhil, you want to add something there?
No, I think you covered it well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Gaurav, Pandy, do you have a question? Do you want to come off mute? Hi, can you hear us? I think you may have probably come in via the browser, which means sometimes audio doesn't work. You might want to put your question in the Q&A because we can't hear anything and I can't see your audio moving. I know you had that question around languages, which Nikhil answered. Is it an extension from that? If it is, if you can just put your question into the Q&A and we'll answer for you. Okay. I think we'll move to the next question. Nikhil, you're answering
Yes.
Radhika's question. Do you want to take that one?
Yes. Can Insight Finder report on custom tables? Yes, as long as your custom tables are extensions of BMC Helix applications like ITSM, business workflows, and so on, you can add your custom tables or custom forms or even custom fields on out-of-the-box forms into Insight Finder. You need to enhance the semantic layer. You do that using a thick client called Reporting Metadata Studio. You need to install that on a Windows machine, and that allows you to import the out-of-the-box view like incident management, change management, and so on. And in that, you'll then need to extend your data model to include your custom fields or custom forms. You also need to enter an easy to understand description, which is required by Insight Finder to understand the purpose of every field. And once you do that, you then load it back into Helix dashboards. And once you do that, you'll be creating a custom view. There is an interface in Helix dashboards that allows you to import your custom views. And that's how you can include your custom forms.
Okay, thank you. And then we've got a question from Miguel. Can Insight Finder fetch data from work orders? I've seen that work order management view is in the list of unsupported views.
Yep. In 25.4, we started supporting work orders. So work orders tasks are included when you upgrade to 25.4.
Miguel, if you do want to come off mute, if you've got anything further, do let us know. That's all our questions so far. Does anybody else have any other questions for the wider team? You want to put them into the Q&A? Okay, I see David's put a question in. We have BMC Helix Service Management Advanced License, and I cannot find HelixGPT in Innovation Suite. Who do I need to contact to fix this?
Hey,
So
David, we
you
can have a
have,
short call. We can have a short call to assist you on this. Shouldn't be an issue.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
David, I'll provide the details post-event, so you're in contact with Nikhil and Suren. Okay.
Appreciate that.
Okay, thanks. Thank you to those as well that have filled in poll 2. That is in the background. If you've got any other questions, do obviously fill in the poll. That'll help us do a follow-up as well. This isn't the only workshops that we're going to be doing, so I just reiterate, you may not have questions right now, but if they do come up, there is this team that will work with you. Do post it in the communities group as a question and they will reach out to you. And there'll also be a short survey that will come in the next sort of 24 hours when I send out the recording, the Q&A and all the details. If you do have any requirements as a follow-up, there is also an option to just put your details in and let us know, and I will pass on to this team. Okay. So there's a question from Pandy, and it may be because you couldn't speak earlier, Nikhil, it might be a question for you. I would like to ask about how Helix GPT responds using comma round articles. What key information does it check in comma round? Only specific fields like title and resolution, or does it refer to all available fields and details to generate a response for the user?
So comma round is not supported in Insight Finder. We're still evaluating the possibility of including this on our roadmap.
Okay, thank you. He said thank you. While we're waiting for a few other questions, obviously, Nikhil, we've done quite a lot of webinars together, certainly on dashboards and Insight Finder. This is our second Insight Finder workshop, and I know we've got the Ask the Expert session coming up soon regarding Insight Finder. Is there anything else as the product manager that you want to share that might be useful for our audience here?
Apart from service management, Insight Finder also supports our some of our item products. So on the item side, Insight Finder does support events, situations, predictions, service health, and vulnerabilities, vulnerability resolver. So these are all the products that are supported on the item side. We continue to expand our coverage of Insight Finder to most of our products in Helix. On our roadmap is we have knowledge management on the roadmap. We'll also be including foundation data, especially people data, because you can, so then it will allow you to report on people associations or people relationships within Insight Finder. Release management is another area that's currently not covered, but is a roadmap item. So yes, lots of exciting things on the roadmap. There will be a few UI changes to improve the experience and several other things, mainly on the UI side, that you'll see in future releases. We'll also allow the ability to export visualizations as because the access permission does not allow users to save their dashboards, we at least want to allow users to export the visualization that they created. And that's a roadmap item. So yes, lots of exciting things. The Insight Finder is the most important roadmap item or our roadmap is full of Insight Finder over the next several releases. So we encourage you strongly to adopt Insight Finder. The good news is your existing licensing of BMC Helix includes an entitlement for Insight Finder. So you don't need to purchase any new licenses. Whether you are on-prem or whether you are on SaaS, Insight Finder is part of your licensing. Unlike other HelixGPT solutions, which require you, Insight Finder and Employee Navigator are the only two solutions that are entitlements for our SaaS customers, and other solutions do require a license purchase.
Thank you for that. So if we don't have any more questions, I'm more than happy to give 25 minutes or so back. We do put extra time in just because sometimes we have a lot of questions, and I know the last session we ran right up until the 90 minutes, but if we don't have anything further, then we can close the call. I don't know, Suram, was there anything else that you wanted to cover as well?
Just one thing, that when they will send this deck, it will also have documentation links for HelixGPT Studio and few more. So which will give you some good information about what is Agent Studio, what is models, what are skills, all those fundamental things. You would be able to go through, read it through, and it would help you as well. That's it from my side, Sam.
Great. And obviously we'll put the community links in as well. So if anyone does have any further questions, please reach out. And David, I'll pass the details on, as I mentioned earlier, so you can work with this team directly.